The Rocket Review is sponsored by Why Not Saloon.
We're so thrilled to have back on the show. He's a Hall of Famer, Rock and Roll Hall of Famer, songwriter also that has been in the Songwriter Hall of Fame. He's got his own star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. John Oates, back in studio.
Hey, great to see you, Eric.
Good to see you, John.
Thanks for having me.
It seems like it's been too long. It's
been a bit.
But especially when you've got a great album, and I've got one of your cool cards here for
yes.
the new album Reunion.
Thank you.
Yeah, congratulations.
Yeah, I'm very proud of the record. Everybody seems to enjoy it. You notice how I said record?
Yes.
I'm dating myself, but that's okay.
That's what I do too, which
Yeah.
I'm thrilled also
Yeah.
that it's coming out on a limited edition vinyl.
Yeah, we're working on that right now, vinyl and a CD, which will come out probably in July. But right now it's available only digitally.
Well, you know, it's so interesting too, listening to this album, John, and listening to your past solo works and everything you've done, you know, and certainly you're so well known for being with, you know, Daryl Hall and John Oates. You know, Hall & Oates is you're known by many of the public, but the songs, I think some of my favorite songs are the live ones you did on here.
Oh, that's cool.
You know, like
yeah.
the coffee house version of Reunion.
Right,
which,
we did an alternate version.
Yeah.
We just wanted to strip it down and do two different versions. We're all so proud of the song that we thought, yeah, hey, if it's good once, it'd be better twice.
But it sounds so different the way
Yeah.
you stripped it down acoustically,
Yeah.
which I think is interesting for our viewers too. And certainly you've been, you know, on a world tour, you know, with so much of your solo music now. But to hear how a song holds up when you strip it down.
Well, that's the test, you know, of a good song. You know, when you can really, you just pick up a guitar and just play it. You know, that's pretty much how I judge things anyway.
Well, and we have to bring up too, you know, like on I Found Love and so many of the tracks here with the mandolin and everything else, you had some heavy hitters.
Oh yeah. So well, you know, being in Nashville, you know, it's an embarrassment of riches. You know, musically, it's amazing. That I Found Love song that you had mentioned was actually cut in 2007,
Right.
and it was previously released on an album called 1,000 Miles of Life, but it never really saw the light of day pretty much, and I was really fortunate to have Sam Bush, Jerry Douglas, and Bela Fleck on that track. And it was the first time I met those guys.
Right.
And I really wanted people to hear it again, so we did an updated mix, a remix on that song, and put it on the album. And of course, then speaking of mandolin players, I was lucky enough to have Sierra Hall.
Oh my gosh.
Who's just so brilliant. It's amazing. And the great Nashville session players like Guthrie Trapp and Tom Bukovac, and you know, and the list goes on and on.
Right.
And on.
And
Steve
with
Mackey,
Paul Franklin.
Paul Franklin, Russ Pahl. Yeah, I know.
It's like
it's
a
too
who's
good.
who.
Yeah.
It's like, you know, and certainly, you know, bouncing between, you know, Colorado and Nashville, but you're so ingrained in Nashville now with the musicians and the artists here and that are your friends and contemporaries now.
Yeah, when I came here, you know, I kind of entered into the Americana music community, and it's felt so comfortable to me. I've made great friends, been touring and recording with so many of these great Americana artists here in town. And you know, I think in Nashville there's so many amazing artists and musicians and writers that you kind of find your own tribe.
You do.
And you kind of, you know, that's your guys or your gals or whatever you want to call it. Yeah, so it's been fantastic.
And most of this album was recorded at what was Addiction Studio here
In Berry Hill, yeah, which is no longer Addiction. I think they've changed the name. But I worked with a guy named David Kalmusky, who I've been working with for years as an engineer and co-producer, and he's fantastic, and he's an amazing guitar player as well. So,
Right.
Yeah, we've got a good thing going. It's fun.
I'll tell you, well, speaking of fun, you know, when people come to your shows, and I thought this was one of the best ideas because it's got you, like with the Reunion cover here, and then this is a card that everybody gets when they go to your shows.
Right.
And it's got all this information, music, everything, just with the QR code.
It's QR. You know, I'm very modern, Eric.
You
know that,
are.
right?
Because now I'm like going, geez, John Oates
Yeah.
just taught me something again, besides guitar licks.
Yeah. Well,
I'm going to have to like check this out.
yeah, you got to snap on that QR code, and you get more information about me than you ever wanted in your entire life.
And you want more. But I thought it was so interesting that you met the guy that created this stuff for you, which I love the cover of the album.
Yeah.
It just looks so cool with you on there with the Reunion.
Yeah, thanks.
But you met the guy on a Joe Bonamassa cruise that you were playing.
Yeah, I did did Joe's Blues Cruise just recently, which was an amazing event, and Joe's incredible. And yeah, there was a guy walking around with a card similar to that, and I basically nicked his idea. So.
I just think it's awesome because, I mean, once again, you know, you and I were talking when we came to studio, before we came down here, like, it's cool, it's got all the information, it's got your music, get to merch and everything, but also, what a neat memento for people to have from coming to see you live.
Well, since I don't have any merch to sell, I figure I'll give something away for free. It's probably better for the fans.
Free is
anyway.
the best. And
free is good.
Speaking of free, you know, you gave of your talent freely on The Masked Singer, you know, in Anteater.
Well, I don't know about that.
So what was that experience like? Because I mean,
don't ask me. I tell you, I don't even know why I did it. It was weird.
How incredible, though. I mean, because once again, we were talking a whole new audience, you know, of people, you know, that I'm certain know your songs, but maybe they don't know you, and then they see you on The Masked Singer and go, oh my gosh, that's John Oates.
Well, that was the interesting thing about it, and that was one of the things that appealed to me about doing it. I wanted to see, because people don't recognize my voice quite as much in the general public, you know, among pop music, because Daryl's voice is so, you know, associated with the big Hall Oates hits.
Right.
So I wanted to see what was going to happen when people didn't know who it was, and what the reaction of the judges would be and everything. And it was fun because they reacted really positively. And there was, you know, they made some really cool comments. They didn't know who and they were comparing me to all these amazing people like Bob Dylan and John Mellencamp and, you know, you know, Neil Young. And I was like, really? Okay.
What a compliment.
I'll take the compliments. I'll take the compliments.
Well, and obviously
so it was cool.
You wanted to keep the outfit and just wear it around the house too because it was that comfortable.
No, I didn't. And I'll tell you a crazy story. I lasted 3 episodes, okay? On the 3rd episode, I was headlining a show at the Newport Folk Festival in Newport, Rhode Island on a Sunday night. And I had an 8 a.m. call in LA on Monday morning. So I finished the show at the Newport Folk Festival, jumped in a car, ran to the Boston airport, got the red eye to LA, arrived at my hotel room around 3 a.m.
Oh my goodness.
Had to get up at 8 and sing in that costume.
Wow.
And when I finally got unmasked, I have to say I was actually relieved. I was done.
You know, I thought it was so funny too, John, because you were talking about, you know, having to wear like the sweatshirt with "Don't Talk to Me" and a mask so that people wouldn't know it was you when you were at the hotel even.
Well, it's a whole thing. They give you this black hoodie with "Don't Talk to Me," a big mask, gloves, and you have to put that on in your room. So you walk through the lobby of the hotel, get in the limo, they take you to the TV station, then you have to wear it the entire time you're there. The only time you can take it off is when you go into your little dressing room trailer. And then you come out and you put the suit on, which takes about a good 45 minutes to an hour to put the suit on. And then you have to wear it all day.
It's like makeup for a movie.
It's crazy. It's really crazy.
I hand it to you. Well, and obviously, you know, certainly with your solo career that continues to do incredible, and you know, with the music video and the live videos also coming from the reunion album. I wanted to bring up also, and I know you've been asked about it, about, you know, Hall & Oates no longer touring anymore, right?
Nope. No, there will not be any Hall & Oates tours as far as from my point of view. I don't know. You'll have to ask Daryl one of these days. But no, I think we did it for 50 years, and I put my heart and soul, and I really dedicated my entire professional life to it. And it's time to move on. I've got new things to do.
Well, you know, and you've accomplished so much within that band. You know, a best-selling rock and roll duo in history. You know, I mean, how do you top those things at a point? You know,
there's only one way to go from there.
Yeah, well, and I have to bring this up, though, and you haven't, because you've worked on your solo career so much and done an incredible job, and your voice has never sounded better. But, you know, also with your book, I was thinking, you know, as long ago as your book came out, you're going to have to do, like, an updated book now.
There's been talk. We'll see. Right now, I'm enjoying playing now. Writing, recording, and playing. I'm getting to collaborate with a lot of new, younger artists, which is really exciting. It gives me, you know, kind of keeps me moving forward, and I love that. So, and there's so many great new artists that I'm hearing all the time. So it's really exciting. And of course, Music City. You know, this is where it's happening.
Well, do you think you're going to step into also, and certainly with your songwriting, and you've written so many great hits over the years, and we were talking about how much of your music has been utilized in film and TV and commercials and everything. Do you see yourself, you know, stepping into a producer role and everything with some of these young artists also, John?
Yeah, I am. I mean, I'm a producer when it's the right time to be a producer. You know, if someone wants me to do something, and I have some musical, you know, connection and it feels right, sure, I'm open for everything.
Well, speaking of open for everything, you're going to be playing the Americana Fest.
Oh yeah.
Back in Nashville, in September, but also before that, you're going to be playing in Philadelphia. You're going back to your old stomping ground.
I'm headlining the Philadelphia Folk Festival, which for me is a full-out bucket list, full circle. I know there are a lot of cliches thrown around here, but when I was a kid, Philadelphia Folk Festival has been going on for almost 60 years. So when I was a kid, I used to go to the Philadelphia Folk Festival, and during the early days in the 60s of the folk revival, when all these amazing roots performers were being rediscovered, Mississippi John Hurt, Doc Watson, Sonny Terry, and Brownie McGee. And I would go and sit on the grass. And in those days, the Philadelphia Folk Festival, the stage was probably this high. And it was just a plywood platform.
Right.
And I would sit there and I'd be like literally 3 feet away watching these guys play. And now I'm going back and headlining it. So I can't wait to go back. I want to play a lot of the traditional stuff that I learned and heard back in the day. It's going to be incredible.
Well, I was going to bring that up too, that, certainly, growing up in Philadelphia, John, and starting out as a young musician, but, you used to go to those coffee shops and festivals. That's really where you cut your teeth on the music that would evolve into what you're doing today.
Well, I was born at the right time, and growing up in Philadelphia, in the Philadelphia area, in the late 50s, early 60s, not only did I hear and get to see all the great folk performers, but I got to go to the Uptown Theater and see some of the most amazing, R&B performers, Sam and Dave, Otis Redding, The Temptations, Smokey Robinson. I saw Stevie Wonder do Fingertips when he was 12.
Oh,
I mean, literally, for real. And
that just gives me goosebumps.
so, when you combine this great American soul R&B music that came pretty much from the Deep South, except for Chicago and Motown,
right.
And then you combine it with the great folk music that was happening and all these blues performers and bluegrass performers, that's really it's this incredible, kind of interweaving of American roots music.
Yeah.
And that's what it's about. And for me, it's a continuum,
Well, and I think it's informing more and more of your new music. Like I was saying on
sure.
Reunion, I can hear those influences more and more. And it seems like you've been free to do that. And speaking of free, we've talked about some of your guitars and stuff in the past. Certainly, your main Stratocaster that Seymour Duncan, helped trick out, Martin custom guitars. But now you're using a new Martin on the road, and it kind of surprised me, John.
Yeah, well, I do have some amazing vintage and custom instruments.
Oh, besides your true sarts and everything else.
Yeah, and nowadays with travel being what it is, airplanes and it's pretty rough out there when it comes to traveling. So if you're going to be a traveling touring musician, I want to make sure I have an instrument that's great to play, but also, God forbid something were to happen, I could replace it.
Right.
So I have just started playing a brand new Martin 00017 mahogany, all mahogany, and it serves my purpose perfectly. And it's interesting because it's actually the most inexpensive Martin they make, but it sounds incredible, and I'm very impressed with the new guitars that are coming out of.
Totally.
In fact, even Gibson and all the Taylor, all the companies are making really, really great instruments.
They really are. Well, and you're such a great artist, with your playing style. Listening to like the finger picking and everything on this album, I enjoy hearing you playing,
Thanks.
and what you put into the art. But to be able to go out there and make the music, playing the solo gigs, even when you're playing, Royal Albert Hall and things like that, and you're playing your Martin acoustic through a Fishman amplifier.
Yeah, that's my man. Can we plug anybody else where we're at?
No, I just think it's so great because to me, certainly from your past age, being the big rock stages and all this stuff, John, you've really simplified it down.
I'm loving the stripped down acoustic show that we're doing. I have an acoustic quartet that's absolutely fantastic. A great cello player named Nathaniel Smith, who used to play with Casey Musgraves, and he's well known here in town. My good buddy from Colorado, John Michelle, is playing percussion with me. He and I have been playing for 30 years.
Oh my gosh.
And just hired a new guy named Sam Wilson, who is playing pedal steel and a little bit of electric guitar. But it's essentially an acoustic unplugged type show.
How
and
amazing.
I love it.
It's such a troubadour thing for you, though. It's like it's going back to your roots.
It's stories, telling stories about how the songs were written and a lot of that stuff. And people really love it. And it's really an evening of songs and stories.
Well, and I have to bring this up because I was a little concerned about this, John, and you can tell me, is the mustache media still going strong as it was?
I have no idea.
Because I know that for a while there, you know, on Instagram and social media, that there was a separate, you know, there were separate ones,
Well,
you know,
yeah, I mean,
accounts just for your mustache.
Over years, my mustache has taken on a life of its own. So, you know, it
That's
is
pretty
what it
awesome,
is.
though, when you as an artist have, you know, a career and your mustache does too.
Oh, thanks, Eric. I'm glad you brought that up. That's really.
But more importantly, I'll tell you what, if the people haven't gone and seen you at a show yet, which I'm sure they will, I want to make sure, what is the best website and everything else to check out everything John Oates, and for reunion, where should they go?
Well, I mean, of course, my website, johnoates.com, but I'm really active on Instagram and Facebook as well.
Right.
So it's John Oates Official on Instagram, and we're always posting wacky stuff on there. You know, so there's always something fun.
Well,
happening
and
there.
you're so a part of the fabric with the Nashville musicians, and we were talking about Grace Bowers and everything else, to where it's like everybody just enjoys playing music with you and being part of the great music you're creating,
Well,
John.
that's exactly how I feel. You know, people ask me to sit in, and I love to just, you know, jump up there and do a run and gun. You know, where you just you know, you're on the edge. You don't know what's going to
Right.
happen. That's fun.
It's got to be a blast for you, too, when you step into a place like Station Inn.
I love Station Inn.
And that you're welcome there with open arms to sit and
Well,
play.
you know, some of the live tracks, one of the live tracks on the reunion album was recorded at the Station Inn. So going back, I haven't been back in a few years, so going back on September 21st during the Americana Music Festival, it's going to be amazing.
Oh, it'll be packed. I'll tell you what, however you consume music, whether it's digital, CD, album, which will be limited edition, you've got to check this out. Reunion is out now. There's some videos out, live music videos. John's looking great. The voices never sound better. Be sure and get this new music and go see this man play live. You're going to enjoy it as much as I do. John Oates, thank you so much
Thanks,
for coming
Eric.
on the
Always
show.
a pleasure, man.
Good to see you.
The Rocket Review is sponsored by Why Not Saloon.